With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give the fan favorite everywhere belt bag, the real gift is... And when the ultra-soothing Rest Feel slides are the gift, you're really giving them... This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give little luxuries that go beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
So a couple of weeks ago, I get a call from my friend Libby. And Libby is a very attractive, smart news lady in Israel. I believe she's on Channel 14, which is the Israel Fox News equivalent. She goes, let's do an interview. She's a huge fan of mine, huge fan. In fact, who in Israel's not these days? I said, sure, it'll be great. So sure enough, a couple of weeks ago, I stayed late after the show. Justin, you set the whole thing up. It was a Zoom from the studios, and we do about this 15-minute interview, and that was it. So 2 weeks later, yesterday, Libby says, hey, the interview is up. I said, I know, because my buddy Mark Lee Kanarek, who's a hero from Israel, had just sent me a picture. Oh, my God, you're on television in Israel. Like, look at this. So Libby sends me the interview. I go, I know. People are already texting me they've watched it in Israel. So I get the video, I don't know how long it is, but the beauty about it is they've inserted all these great pictures and videos from my 2 trips to Israel, from my conversations with Lara and Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, all kinds of cool stuff. But the beauty of this thing is it's all in Hebrew. None of it is in English. It's all in Hebrew. But I still sent it to all my friends in Israel, all my Jewish friends in America, and this guy especially, the CEO of the best place to get any information in Israel, the CEO of JNS.org, my dear friend Alex Traiman. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Sid. How are you? It was a great spot on Channel 14.
Now, I spoke to Mark Levin yesterday, too, and he said he was on Channel 14 2 nights ago. The night before me, he said that's a very, very big deal, Channel 14 in Israel. Is that true?
It is. It's the fastest growing television station in Israel, and it's the only station that really represents the viewpoints of the majority of Israeli voters, which, as you know, Israel is a center-right country led by a right-wing prime minister, and all of the media in Israel is left-wing, except for Channel 14 on television. And people have been fed a lot of garbage for many years from the left-wing perspective, and they finally have a station where they feel like they can get the real news as it's actually happening. And so for them to feature you, it's going to give you some notoriety here in Israel. People definitely appreciate the work that you're doing here to defend Israel in this difficult time.
Oh, thank you. And, of course, it all started with you. Both of my trips to Israel, I should say, live shows, 6 out of 8 shows from your studios in Jerusalem, JNS.org. So very similar to the United States, right? We've got Fox News, we've got Newsmax, but for the most part, about 99% are liberal hack networks. Same thing in Israel. You got Channel 14. That's your Fox News.
That's right. But at least in America, you also have strong conservative radio. As you know, like WABC. Right. So we don't have as many. It's actually there's a lot more room for conservative voices to appear either in mainstream or alternative media in the United States. In Israel and in the Jewish world, the number of conservative publications is much more limited.
Well, listen, I love Tel Aviv. A nice apartment for me and Danielle. I don't know what they pay for radio in Israel, but I think if I went to Israel, I could be like the the Rush Limbaugh of Israel. No?
Yeah, and if you did the morning show in New York from Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, you could do it in the middle of the day. You wouldn't have to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning like you do now.
It's great. It's a 7-hour time difference what Alex Traiman is talking about. So here in New York, we start at 6 o'clock in the morning. That is 1 p.m. Eastern time after lunch in Israel. Let's get to the big story today, one that you don't seem so happy about, and that is these rumors that there's going to be a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Again, the text that I received from you didn't seem very happy about that. Why is that the case?
I think a lot of Israelis are confused about it. We've heard Netanyahu talking about total victory. for the duration of the war. It's obvious that, as you said correctly on day one of this, that the Biden administration's proved itself to be not a helper, really, at this stage as it's progressed. Much more of an adversary than an assistant in the battle. And it seemed as though Israel had waited out this Biden administration with President Trump about to re-enter office in about 60 days' time. And so I think a lot of Israelis felt like we just had to coast it now for the next 2 months. But it's a very dangerous period. We see that, that the fighting in Lebanon and between Hezbollah and Israel is very intense, with many rockets hitting the Israeli home front, even as Israel takes out much of Hezbollah's capabilities and is doing an incredible job inside Lebanon. But Israel is apparently very worried about UN Security Council resolution, and the Biden administration, from all accounts, has threatened Israel that if they do not accept some kind of a ceasefire deal, that they would allow Security Council resolution against the state of Israel to pass. As everybody knows, they've been withholding weapons that Israel believes it needs in order to continue the fight. And so, Netanyahu is playing a four-dimensional chess game now with the United States, together with all of Israel's enemies also on the chessboard at the same time. So they're calling it potentially now for a 60-day ceasefire, which would be essentially the amount of time until President Trump takes office. No guarantees that the ceasefire will hold until 60 days. Certainly no guarantees that the ceasefire will hold after 60 days. I think the questions that remain to be answered yet is, what is Israel getting up front from the United States for doing this? Are they getting the release of these weapons? Are they getting a guarantee from the United States that there will not be a Security Council resolution against Israel passed? It certainly would be an opportunity for Israeli soldiers to get some rest. It might be an opportunity for Israel to try to make a deal to get some more hostages out of the Gaza Strip. But it can also potentially send a very dangerous message to Israel's enemies, which is that Israel does not have the weapons that it needs to fight this war to the finish, that Israel is dependent on the United States to secure itself in the Middle East, and that ultimately that the United States was successful in pressuring Israel to cease fire.
And Bibi has said all along, we will do this alone. Basically, we don't need you, Biden, Harris, and the United States. But like you're saying, this latest rumor speaks to a different story, that maybe, in fact, Israel does need Biden, Harris, and the United States. Alex Traiman, the CEO of JNS.org, live in Jerusalem. This morning, you said maybe this can turn out to be a deal for the hostages. And you can't see me. I'm in New York, but I'm wearing the yellow bow on my sport jacket today. And over 400 days, these hostages still being held. No one has any idea how many are alive, if any are alive at this point. And, of course, Israelis don't care. You want the bodies back. You want the people back home. But there seems to be this ridiculous notion from the Trump detractors, hey, now that you won, you get the hostages back. I don't understand where this comes from. Hey, Bibi, get the hostages. Hey, Trump, get the hostages. Do people not understand that we don't have them, that the bad guys have them, that we don't even know where the hell they are? If it's Hamas, if it's some Palestinian family, if they're in Egypt or Qatar, who the hell knows? This undue pressure on Bibi and Trump as if they took these people hostage in the first place is completely unfair.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's such immense pressure. Certainly the hostages tears at the heartstrings of every single Israeli, pulls at the soul. But, this is the reason why Hamas took the hostages to begin with, to have this psychological warfare against the state of Israel, to have this psychological warfare against Netanyahu. I mean, we've actually gotten documents that we've confiscated from the Gaza Strip from Hamas leadership, specifically noting, that they can use the hostages as leverage against Netanyahu. That's why you saw in all of the videos of the hostages being released, rather hostages being held in captivity, that those hostages were specifically blaming Netanyahu for their condition. I mean, these are hostages being forced at gunpoint to read scripts where they're specifically blaming Netanyahu. And it plays into the hands of all of Netanyahu's detractors, and it creates immense pressure. I also worry that these ICC arrest warrants that was leveled against Netanyahu may have really shaken the prime minister. I don't want to think that that's the case, but it seems now that he's taking the threat of a UN Security Council resolution, which I believe has been a threat for many months. Suddenly he's taking it much more seriously.
Yeah, but let's be clear about the ICC nonsense. I know you don't think it's nonsense. I do. They can't go into Jerusalem and arrest him. In other words,
no,
yes,
they cannot.
right. So if he goes to England,
if
he goes to England, he could be arrested. Don't go to England. If he goes to France, he could be. Don't go to France. If he goes to Germany, so he's got to go to certain places for the ICC to be able to arrest him. And right now, just don't go.
Exactly. You're 100% right on that. And so it's hard to know what exactly the United States is threatening with right now, and how has that changed from what Israel was being threatened with before. But there are many, many people here that are saying that Netanyahu has been playing this chess match against the Biden administration now for the duration of the war, and that he's been one step ahead, both of Israel's enemies and of the United States. And part of that means that we don't necessarily understand all of the considerations that Netanyahu is working with at the time in which he's making these decisions. And the hope is that maybe something that looks like a declaration of a ceasefire right now, which may give the impression of a defeat to some extent, which has a reverberating effect in the region, could actually turn into something of a brilliant move. But we're going to have to wait to see how this plays out in the next 60 to 90 days.
Two more, we'll let you run. This is my dear friend, the CEO of JNS.org, Alex Traiman. You want any news on Israel, the war? That's the only place. I mean, look, I've been on just about every paper in Israel, on TV in Israel. Don't get me wrong, I love all of it, but JNS.org, that is the only place. So two more. This one is basically who's running the show. Sinwar's dead. Number 2 is dead. Number 3 is dead. Nasrallah's dead. Number 2 is dead. Number 3 is dead. So whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, does Israel, Netanyahu, us, do we have any idea who's running the show for the bad guys?
Yeah, the Ayatollah in Iran. Khamenei is running the show. I mean, this is the head of the terror octopus. Hezbollah takes their orders directly from Iran, and so this is like I said, a four-dimensional chess match that Israel's playing against Iran, against the terror proxies and their local leaderships, against the Qataris, and the United States factors in as a friend / adversary that also has to be managed and dealt with.
Last one, and I'm probably more guilty of this, Alex, than anybody. I'm not proud of it, but I'm honest. What October 7th really showed me, at least, is this huge divide among the Jewish people. I mean, I think ideally it would be great after October 7th if we all got together and unified and kind of us against the world. But a guy like me, for example, you know this. You talk to me just about every day. I'm so angry at Jewish people who back on October 9th, I gave you the benefit of the doubt when you said Biden was a friend. But if you can't figure out by now that Biden is not a friend, Harris is not a friend, the Democrats are not friends, you're either biased or stupid. And I don't have any patience for either one. So while I'd love to be unified and I love my Jewish brethren, they make me more angry sometimes than the terrorists. I feel badly saying that, but I got to be honest. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of folks like me who are like, yeah, we're all Jewish, but no thanks. No thank you. So I think it's fair to say that since October 7th, we've seen this huge divide. I know you see that.
Well, we saw this huge divide already well before October 7th, and that's part of the reason why the enemies of the Jewish people felt that Israel and the Jewish people were vulnerable to this type of attack. It's the Jewish people are a people of 12 tribes that need to sit together. I mean, this is end of the day. We have different ways of life. We have different outlooks on politics, but for whatever reason, we have to figure out how to convince each other of what we need to convince each other of. We have to figure out the things that we can agree upon together, and we have to figure out how to defeat our enemies collectively because they seek to take disunity to their advantage. So we've got to figure it out, and we've got to pull ourselves back together.
No, I think you're right. It's just, when I see Jewish people vote for a party that clearly not only doesn't care, but you've got some real anti-Semites, and then you've got Jewish people calling Donald Trump a Nazi. Donald Trump doesn't care about the Jews. I don't have the patience. I want to. Trust me, Alex, I really want to. But
well, I'll tell you what. Incoming President Trump, who demonstrated his immense friendship for the Jewish people, both in America and in the state of Israel in his first administration, now has an absolutely golden opportunity to demonstrate his friendship once again and to prove to all of his skeptics, and there are many, maybe even as many as 70% of Jews in America, although not always the most engaged Jews in America, but he has the opportunity to prove to all of them now that he is, in fact, a tremendous friend of the state of Israel, and Israel needs that friendship now more than ever.
Last 30 seconds, Alex. Do you guys celebrate American Thanksgiving, some of you families in Israel?
Some American families do. It's definitely a work day here in Israel. Like, nobody's stopping for that. Maybe we'll be able to catch a couple minutes of football. And in our house, what we do is we have a Thanksgiving themed Shabbat. So we won't have a big dinner on Thursday night, but as you know, in our house on Friday night, it's a big dinner.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that this Friday night we're going to have either some turkey or some rotisserie chickens,
nice,
together with the sweet potato and the cranberry, nice, and the stuffing and the whole works.
Chippy does an incredible job. It looks like I may be back for Israeli Independence Day, trip number 3 in late April. I'll be talking to the guys from One Israel Fund. Tomorrow we've got our big gala coming up. They're honoring me and Danielle on December the 19th, and our mutual friend Michael Rappaport will be hosting that night. But either way, I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for our friendship. I'm thankful for the people in Israel, most Jewish people. Alex Traiman, I love you. We'll talk again very soon. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Sid, Thanksgiving is the ultimate Jewish holiday. The word Jew, it comes Yehudi, it comes from the word hodu, which means to give thanks.
Wow.
So it's the ultimate Jewish holiday is to give thanks and to recognize that you're part of something bigger than yourself, and that all the blessings that you have come from your Creator.
You're amazing. God bless you. Thank you for being you, and thank you for being my friend. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sid.
Alex Traiman right there, the CEO of JNS.org. We'll take a short break. Busy Tuesday. Noam's got the news, and then the return after one day out being sick of Curtis Saliwa, our number 2, on the Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning, coming right at you.